Ladies and gentlemen, I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. It is certainly a pleasure to be here with so many energized young people, very talented young people in our audience. So we're going to bore you for a little while before you get your accolades, if that's fair. So welcome to the County Commission meeting for January 13th, 2026. I would ask that everyone would silence any electronic devices that you may have. Also call out that if you wish to speak on the consent agenda, please fill out a form and turn it in up front to Dominique Dreger. Dominique's going to raise her hand for you. And we will start this meeting by invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance with Pastor Ron Williams from the Palmetto Avenue Baptist Church. Thank you, Pastor, for being here.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this new year and for the opportunity to worship you here, because these people that you have allowed to be elected are our ministers. They're ministers to us for good. And they're going to praise those who do well, which they're going to do here in a few minutes. And then, of course, to punish those who do evil. And so we pray that here in Seminole County, that when folks come here, they'd realize that we still believe in one nation under God. And if they want evil upon our community, they're not welcome here. But those who are welcome here are the military personnel that are here to honor with us Sergeant Jordan. And thank you, Lord, for his service and for the service of the others that are here today as well. We thank you, Lord, that our young people worked hard, and they have indeed won the championship. And so we're glad we can recognize them today as well. Once again, another team from Lake Mary has won, and so help these young men to know that we appreciate their hard work and that they represent our community, and we're proud of them. And I just thank you, Lord, personally. Last time I was here, we got an opportunity to recognize Lee Corso. And so we have a wonderful heritage here in Seminole County. Help us to always have a wonderful heritage here. It is a natural choice for us. We chose to live here and to raise our kids here and our grandkids. And so we thank you for this blessed place. We would be amiss if we didn't recognize our law enforcement officers today. I pray that you'd protect them. And thank you that we still honor the flag and we still honor law enforcement. We thank you, Lord, for our medical personnel and first responders, and they're all on their job today. And thank you for that, because there's going to be some folks that get sick and need their help. And so we do thank you. We take these things that we enjoy in Seminole County for granted. Help us not to do that. Help us to realize we're a blessed people, and to whom much is given, much is required. Thank you, Lord, for this month, and we get to celebrate the work of Martin Luther King Jr. And though it's almost 60 years since he walked the planet, his words live on. And I thank you, Lord, for what he said when he said, we may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. And so help us to realize that, be knit together in unity and love and peace in Seminole County. And though the rest of the world may be in chaos, I pray, Lord, that we'd be at peace with each other. Help these commissioners to make wise choices based on the Word of God, not on popular opinion. And help them, Lord, to have the wisdom of Solomon, because no matter what they decide today, some folks are going to be happy and some are not. And so help them to stand by their convictions and help those convictions be based on the Word of God. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to start this time together with prayer, that these commissioners believe in you and they invoke your blessings. And so please show up today in a wonderful and mighty way as we recognize our military and these boys that have worked so hard on the football team. For in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the ladies.
Oh, yeah.
And my volleyball.
And we certainly recognize the lady athletes in the room as well. We continue to keep all of our children in our, not that you're children, some of you are not, you're probably more adult than some of us up here. I'll stop talking because it's going south. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do some awards and proclamations. We're also going to go through the consent agenda because there's someone on there that does want a picture. We'll take pictures after the consent agenda. And the order of the pictures, the ladies will go first, right after our veteran. Our veterans get first for everything in our county. So with that proclamation, the first proclamation proclaiming Sergeant Jerry Jordan, United States Marine Corps, will be read by Commissioner Zimbauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is with great pleasure that I introduce this proclamation of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners recognizing United States Marine Corps Sergeant Jerry Jordan for his outstanding service to the United States and Seminole County. Whereas the brave men and women of our Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force demonstrate a resolute spirit and unmatched selflessness, reminding us that there are few things more American than giving ourselves to make a difference in the lives of others. Whereas throughout our country's history, generations of service members have answered the call to leave their families, their jobs, and put their futures and even their lives on the line to valiantly defend our nation. And whereas for many service members, the sacrifice has ended in permanent injury or death, yet their spirit remains in the continued preservation of our freedoms and the promise of liberty. And whereas there are more than 30,000 living veterans in Seminole County who have served our nation in times of peace and war, through their service they kept America strong. Whereas Sergeant Jerry Jordan enlisted in the United States Marine Corps on active duty March 10, 1969, and was an honor graduate in boot camp at the Marine Corps recruiting station in San Diego, California. Upon completion of Vietnamese language school and recon training, he performed combat missions for 1 year in Vietnam. Following redeployment, Sergeant Jerry Jordan was a provost sergeant for the military police. Throughout his military career, Sergeant Jerry Jordan received numerous medals, including the Vietnamese Service Medal, the Vietnamese Campaign Medal, and the Combat Action Ribbon. And whereas, upon release from military service in 1972, Sergeant Jerry Jordan utilized his VA education benefits and entered the workforce beginning as a train car builder. Then with UPS, and lastly with the United States Postal Service. Sergeant Jerry Jordan moved with his spouse, Chris, to Central Florida in 2018 and presently lives in Geneva, Florida. Whereas Jerry Jordan is Assistant Veteran Service Officer for the American Legion Post 243 and a member of the Marine Corps League, where he has been active, the Marine Corps League, Toys for Tots, which assists hundreds of military and veteran families each holiday season. Sergeant Jerry Jordan also served on the committee for the Geneva July 4, 2025 celebration. And whereas Sergeant Jerry Jordan has brought great credit and distinction upon himself, the United States Marine Corps, and Seminole County. Now, therefore, it be proclaimed that we, the Board of County Commissioners of Seminole County, Florida, express our gratitude, admiration, and respect for Sergeant Jerry Jordan for his outstanding service to the United States Marine Corps and the residents of Seminole County. Be it further proclaimed, this proclamation is presented to Sergeant Jerry Jordan, along with our sincere congratulations and recognition as Seminole County's Veteran of the Month, adopted this 13th day of January 2026.
Second.
Commissioners, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations. Mr. Jordan, would you like to say a few words?
I want to thank the board, my family, especially my wife of 51 years, American Legion, Marine Corps League, and I'm going to give a little history lesson. I hope you guys don't mind. I know you're getting out of school, but in November, I was going to be honored. And November 10th, 1775, Marine Corps was organized. We're 250 years old. But even before then, October 13th, the Navy celebrated their 250th birthday. But even before then, on June 14th, the Army the Army celebrated their 250th birthday. And what are we celebrating this year? July 4th, United States of America. So remember, when you honor a veteran, they were here before the United States of America. Also, Coast Guard was organized on August 4th, 1790, right around the Revolutionary War era. September 18th, the Air Force, in 1947, they were organized. But I know people wonder, World War II had airplanes, but at that time they were called Army Air Corps. And then in September 18th, that's when the Air Force was born. Then on December 20th, 2019, the Space Force was organized. I'm going to end it with this. Commander, you don't mind, but I'm going to invite everybody to the American Legion, Oviedo's American Legion, every Wednesday between 10 and 12. We have coffee and chat, what we call. And during that time, if you are the first time you're visiting our lodge, we will kind of give you another education of why the flag never dies. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Next is recognition of Eric Moore for winning the Florida Association of Counties January Calendar Photo Contest. This will be read by Commissioner Constantine.
Thank you very much, Chairman. A little bit about the contest. Every year, the president of the Florida Association of Counties gets to pick out 12 of over 600 plus pictures that are given out throughout the state of Florida from counties on a theme. A couple of years ago when I was president, my theme was water around Florida, water everywhere, and the calendars come out and are given to folks all over the state of Florida. Other than when I was picking them out, or we had a chairman or president of the Florida Association of Counties, Seminole County has never been in the calendar. So this year it was wonderful when we got January of the calendar and this photograph from Seminole County that everybody has seen or received up here in the dais, but just to let you all know. And this was taken by a individual citizen, Dr. Eric Allen Moore. And Dr. Moore is the CEO of the medical director of the Moore Medical Group, serving patients throughout the state of Florida and North Carolina, and is based in Lake Mary. He recently launched the Kea Health, an integrated model of care in Lake Mary. Dr. Moore did serve as the executive medical director for Advent Health Hospice, serving patients throughout the country. He was born in Chicago, but raised in Nashville and Atlanta. He received his Bachelor of Science degree in biology from Oakwood University in Huntsville, Alabama. He completed his medical doctorate degree from the Medical College of Georgia in Augusta, Georgia, and then completed his residency in family medicine at Florida Hospital and now Advent Health Orlando. Dr. Moore has achieved board certification in family medicine, hospice medicine, and hospice medical director certification. He has served the Central Florida community for over 30 years in private and public practice. He is passionate about the whole person integrated model of care that addresses physical, spiritual, and mental health. He is also passionate about end-of-life care, helping patients and families navigate throughout the challenge. He is also very passionate about photography, and we are very proud that he submitted this to the Florida Association of Counties, and in recognition, the Florida Association of Counties is giving him this plaque to show his photograph. So, Dr. Moore, would you please come up and accept this?
Yes. Lee, we're going to do that afterwards.
Do that later, yes.
Thank you.
Well, Dr. Moore, thank you
Is
very
that a
much.
You know what, I might need this gavel after all. Was that a motion, Commissioner Constantine?
Well, I think this is just a recognition. I don't know if it
All
needs a
right.
motion, but if it does, I'd be happy to do it. But this is just a recognition of Dr. Moore. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, and more importantly, thank you for the service to the community in terms of keeping us all healthy.
Yes.
All right, our next one is a resolution honoring Lake Mary High School football team, who may or may not be in the room, for winning the 2025 7A Florida State Championship. Congratulations, gentlemen. And this will be read by Commissioner Lockhart.
Commissioners, it is my honor and privilege as a former Lake Mary mom and a former school board member that had the privilege of representing Lake Mary High School on the school board to move the following resolution of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners recognizing the 2025 Lake Mary High School football team as state champions. Whereas Seminole County proudly recognizes the outstanding achievements of its student athletes and the positive representation they bring to the community through excellence and competition. And whereas the Lake Mary High School Rams football team achieved a historic milestone by winning the Florida High School Athletic Association Class 7A state championship in 2025, making the first state football championship in the school's history. And whereas the Rams secured their championship in a thrilling contest against previously undefeated Vero Beach High School, winning by a final score of 28-27 in a dramatic game decided by a last-second Hail Mary touchdown. And whereas quarterback Noah Grubbs, wide receiver Barrett Schultz, running back Tavarius T.J. Brundage Jr., and the entire Rams roster demonstrated exceptional athletic skill, teamwork, and leadership and perseverance throughout the season. And whereas the Lake Mary High School football team overcame adversity and demonstrated resilience, determination, and composure under pressure, exemplifying the highest ideals of sportsmanship and competitive spirit. And whereas the team's success reflects the leadership of head coach Scott Perry, a proud Lake Mary High School alumnus, whose commitment to excellence, character development, and community pride has played a pivotal role in the program's historic achievement. And whereas this championship has brought significant recognition to Seminole County and serves as an inspiration to the community both on and off the field. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners, do hereby congratulate the Lake Mary High School football team for winning the 2025 FHSAA Class 7A State Championship and extend our sincere congratulations to the players, coaches, families, and supporters for their historic accomplishment.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
There we go. Recognition for the Lake Mary Rams. And I do believe it was a Hail Lake Mary pass that won that game.
Is Coach Perry going to say something?
Yes, Coach Perry, would you like to say something? Not here?
I'm here. I might not recognize you, guys.
Well, while Coach Perry's coming forward, I will tell you, if your ears were burning recently, your name was mentioned around a table of gentlemen talking about some openings potentially in some other places where there may be some head coach positions available, and they nominated you.
Well, thank you. I'm honored by that. But most of all, I'm proud of these guys. Like you said in the proclamation there, they overcame adversity. We started out the season with 2 losses, 2-2, and a lot of people wrote us off, but not these guys. They kept fighting and kept going after it and came to practice every day to get better. And really, by the end of the season, we're playing in championship form, obviously, and it took a lot of work on their part to just stay the course. And when you talk about overcoming adversity, these guys, I'm really proud of them for doing that. So thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Coach. Thank you for all the hard work for everyone to get the team here. Next is a resolution honoring the Oviedo High School girls volleyball team for winning the 2025 6A Florida State Championship. Congratulations, ladies. This will be read by District Commissioner for Oviedo, Bob Delary.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And I will also first say that As a commissioner, it's nice to see all the schools doing as well as they do. And there's no amazement that every time we turn around, another school is winning a state championship. And it's not just the boys, it's also the ladies. And the ladies work just as hard, if not harder, than the men. And I will tell you that is truly an honor and a privilege to recognize all the students in Seminole County, in all the different cities, and it's truly an honor to be in front of you. It's humbling to see the hard work that you all do. I say that because not only do you excel in academics, you excel in sports, and that is not an easy thing to do these days, so congratulations. So with that, Madam Chairman, it is my honor to read the resolution of the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners recognizing the 2025 Oviedo High School girls volleyball team state champions. Whereas participating in the high school sports promotional leaderships, confidence, teamwork, equal opportunities while fostering community pride and excelling among student athletes. Whereas Oviedo High School Lions girls volleyball teams captured the Florida High School Athletic Association Class 6A state champion in 2025, demonstrating exceptional athletic performance and competitive excellence. And whereas the Lions secured their championship through a remarkable comeback victory, rallying from a 2-set deficit and defeating St. Thomas Aquinas High School, a 2-time defending state champion and a top-ranked team in Florida. And whereas under the leadership and guidance of head coach Jen Doherty, the Oviedo High School girls volleyball team earned its 3rd state championship under her tenure, reflecting excellence, preparation, and commitment to the development of student athletes. And whereas the Oviedo High School girls volleyball team achievements and the results ensured commitment to excellent preparation and unity, demonstrating throughout their championship year by the entire program and school community. And whereas the state championship has brought great pride to the Oviedo High School in Seminole County, serves as an inspiration for young athletes in reinforcing the value of perseverance, discipline, and teamwork. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Seminole County Commissioners, hereby recognize and commend Oviedo High School girls volleyball team for winning the 2025 state championship for Class 6A and extending our sincere congratulations to all who contributed to their outstanding achievement.
Second.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Go Lions. Congratulations, ladies. And do we have Coach Jen Doherty here? Would you like to say a few words? We would be delighted to hear from you.
First off, I want to say thank you so much for having us here today. It was an incredible accomplishment by our team, and I'm honored to be here with them. Congratulations also to Lake Mary football. No easy task, and it sounds like we both had very resilient victories. I got to watch the end of your game with your Hail Mary, and it was a similar setup for us, going down 2-0 against the defending powerhouse state champion in St. Thomas Aquinas. But the resiliency and the pride and the passion that my girls played with in that match was incredibly special. And we take a lot of pride in our core values of our program, which are selfless, tough, discipline, and love, and they absolutely displayed those, put them on a show in that final match, and I couldn't be more proud of them. So thank you again for having us today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Commissioners, if you would join me on the floor for pictures, we're going to do them with honoring our veteran first with his picture so that the entire audience can do that as well. Then Dr. Moore so that we can get you back to work healing folks. And then we're going to switch it up and let the ladies go first and the boys round it up.
Madam Chairman, do you want to do the consent first? And because we have one more, we have more recognition on the consent.
We got one more recognition.
Sorry.
Consent. All right. So we'll take it to consent. Is there public comment?
No, ma'am.
Would you like to read your public comment, even though there's no public comment?
Not necessary, thank you.
Awesome, awesome, that's great. Commissioners, I'll look to you. And,
Madam Chair, I'll move to approve consent agenda items number 5 and 6 through 18.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you, and I think we'll move right into pictures now. Thank you, Darren. Commissioners, if we could regather, that would be wonderful. Well, that was an exciting morning.
Now nobody's here.
That was an exciting morning, so we'll move on to the regular agenda, which may be just as exciting. So, Christian, I'm challenging you to keep the momentum going with a Scout update.
I have no doubt that it'll be just trucking along. Christian Swenson, Assistant County Manager, here to talk this morning about Scout. Thank you, Commissioner Herr, and good morning, all the board chairmen and commissioners. So before I get started on the agenda, I just would like to actually say a thank you, because I'm going to be the one up here presenting, but candidly, I've done very little of the work in regard to the stuff that we're presenting today. So I've really been supported by our great communications team. Truthfully, the whole department has done fabulous. They're really top notch. Our interns team, they've participated in this as well and been fully involved in it. We've had 2 consultants that have assisted with it, and the media has helped, as you'll see in one of the slides. It has been a lot of teamwork to get the word out, and I think it's been a great job, and I appreciate everyone's help. With all that said, I'm going to run through a couple things. I'll talk about the purpose, we'll go through the background, and then we'll talk about the next step. So the purpose is obviously to give you an update on what communication methods took place from the inception of the Scout concept until the reduction of the Lynx routes, which occurred. The last day of their service was Saturday. Sunday was the first day of the discontinuation. So with that, I'll get into the background and the progress. So starting, we'll just kind of give a little history. You all have seen this before, but it's mostly just for the audience. So in June, we contracted with Freebie to provide the Scout microtransit system. In August, we sent a letter to Lynx advising of the routes to delete and also the schedule changes to make. As you'll notice from the slide, that was done in collaboration with Lynx. We met with their planning folks and we went through and determined what was the productive, non-productive routes and what changes need to be made. In September, we provided a soft launch of the service where in select zones we started the service that worked just in those zones. And October 15th was our first day of Scout, and we started that in the entire service area while at the same time maintaining the Lynx service. And as just before mentioned, January 10th was the last day for the routes to be deleted from Lynx that were the deleted routes. So with that, I would just like to just kind of refresh everyone on what the discontinued routes were. As you see from the slide, Link 34, which is the North 1792 route, Link 45, which was Lake Mary, 46, as obviously State Road 46 in Sanford, 103 was another section of 1792 around the Walmart area. The 434 route was discontinued, and then also the 2 neighbor link zones, one in Sanford and one in Oviedo, were also discontinued. Now, there were some service changes that also took place as a result of this. Link 1, which is a route that starts in Orange County. It starts in the Eatonville area and comes in and did come up to the Altamont area. That was reshaped to not come up into Seminole County, but instead reconnect over toward the 436 route. The Link 23 route, which was 434 in Maitland over near the Seminole State Altamont campus. That one just changed it a little bit and connect to 436 to make a continual route through the county. And then also the 102, which was the 1792 route that comes north into the county from Orange County. It previously used to stop at the Ferns Park Super Stop, which is the old highlight for those of everyone that's been around a little while. That Super Stop has since been relocated to the Sunrail station in Altamont, and the changes for the 436 route also impacted that as well. Instead of previously going to the Fern Park Super Stops, the Super Stop is at the Altamont station. There were some other minor changes that Lynx thought were good to change some schedule adjustments just due to lack of ridership on individual buses and things like that, but those were the routes. So with this, I'll get into now talking about what the methods for communication that were that were utilized to let everyone know about the changes coming up. And as you can see from this list, it's fairly extensive. We did community outreach. There were digital and online methods. There were links public meetings that were held. There were media mentions, as I mentioned earlier. There was printed and in-person materials developed. And then there were writer surveys. And then there was obviously a number of speaking and community engagement presentations. So I'm going to go through each of these individually and just hit on them a little deeper. The community outreach and engagement, we did 35 tabling events. We sent 3 targeted emails to customers that were either Access Links customers or known Links customers to get the word out, to let them know about Scout. We did digital brochures to businesses, and then we also did outreach visits to apartment complexes and businesses as well. On the digital front, we launched a Scout website on September 24th, and as you can see, we've had 130,000 views, fairly significant. We also created social media accounts on all the popular platforms, and 24 posts have taken place. Scout was also listed in the county newsletter 11 times, and then a full-page ad was also taken out in the Parks and Recreation Leisure Guide. Then Links meetings, the other topic, another topic that was mentioned in the list. Links, as part of their service changes, does public outreach meetings. We collaborated with them, and we were a part of those meetings. All the ones that were in Seminole County and the ones down at the main branch and the main link station, and the virtual ones we participated in. We were there to answer questions, to be a resource, to advise about Scout and things like that. Media mentions, as I put the thanks initially, the media has been a big, a big part of the success for us. They've run 150 media mentions, across the system. That's just a lot. All types of media was there. It really got the word out. We also had 2 events that were dedicated media events. We had one at the testing phase to kind of put things out, and then also a launch day event as well. So print media was also available to either place around places or to hand to people in person. We developed banner stands, posters. We developed bilingual brochures about Scout. Tip cards were developed to give just kind of quick information. Informational signage at every stop was put out there. Links developed that. We worked with them with it to develop it, to add comment to it. And then additionally, we added supplemental signage as well regarding the route reductions. In addition to that, we were getting information from Links pretty regularly as to what ridership was, and what we were noticing were the riders were not necessarily coming off of the Links routes. They were staying fairly consistent. So we wanted to say, we wanted to test it. Did we have the word out? We wanted to get on board and see as they made contact. So we actually did onboard surveys of 15 Links bus trips to get on and ask the questions. And what we learned from that was people knew about the program. It was pretty well known. Our efforts were getting out there. We continued to market it and to get the word out, but people were choosing to stay on it. We also did a number of speaking engagements. There was a variety of us that did this. We did 30 presentations across community events at different community locations, some of them organizations, some of them nonprofits, things like that. In addition to those type of things, we also looked at the ridership from Links. And we also, and also based this with the onboard surveys as what the actual riders were, and decided that we needed to add some additional vans. So we added 7 additional vans to the fleet. I've hired additional drivers. We made some scheduling changes and had some flex drivers and things like that. And we continued to monitor service and in preparation for the service reduction. And then talking about next steps, we will continue to market and to educate people about the system. We will continue to monitor the system and system performance. And just to touch on that a little bit, I'm part of a team that we meet weekly with the vendor, and we go through everything, myself and G. We look at the, we look at the data at least 3 times a day each, and then opine on the system and try to troubleshoot issues or see what changes they may make. And with all that said, it's all done to make adjustments as needed. We want this to be a successful service. The board was gracious enough to say that, hey, they knew that there would be some speed bumps along the way. This is a greenfield service, very unique. Most transit systems have a history and they make changes. This was greenfield for us. We knew we couldn't rely on necessarily the Links data. What we saw when we were at the goal was to put people in the vehicles that were previous on Links. What we since realized was due to the transit deserts out there, that there was a big need, and those folks flocked to the system relatively quickly. So, our commitment is to continue to make adjustments. We plan to make this just an absolutely fabulous system, that it's which arguably it is now, and providing benefits that were not available to other folks. So with that, I'll happily take any questions. And
thank you, Christian. First, let me start by saying a big shout out to Commissioner Lockhart for helping us to think beyond the bureaucracy and rethink how we were doing this. And then, Christian, your lead-in was rather humble. Your engagement in this was deep for a long period of time while holding your other job. This is on top of, and we very much appreciate you, the entire team, but very much appreciate your leadership. Darren, I'm not leaving you out or legal out, but
All to them.
you're not looking at the thing 3 times a day. With that, I'll how about start at this end? Jay?
I'd also like to thank Commissioner Lockhart for getting this thing over the finish line. This is something that I've been beating on the table against since the day that Commissioner Lockhart and I arrived here, went through our first Links budget session, and I went, oh my gosh, why are we paying all this kind of money for this kind of ridership? So good work, thank you. Fantastic job by staff. As you mentioned, there was going to be some hiccups and some speed bumps, but quite frankly, they haven't been that large. And I think that's a testament to what you all have been involved with, your hands-on and monitoring it. And I would tell you that my input from the business community thus far has been 100% happiness. I haven't heard any complaints, any concerns. It's actually, in some cases, allowed employees to get to work at a better time than what they historically were in some of the retail establishments that they otherwise had to either carpool or tried to get a bus or whatever the case might be. But I also think what I'm observing and hearing from people that traditionally didn't use transportation is a lot of our, and I'm going to be falling into that category before long, elderly, they don't want to get in their car and go to the grocery store. They can go call Scout and go to the grocery store. It's fantastic. Or go to the restaurant, which we anticipated that was going to occur, and in fact has. So I think it's good work all the way around. I think the monitoring will continue. It's like I told one resident that reached out earlier this week, we're not perfect, but we do have a 4.8 out of 5 rating from the ridership. We know there's going to be some holes here and there, and staff will investigate those, figure it out, whether it's communication, help them understand, whatever the case might be, or we have to shift and do things. So good work, good stuff. Thank you.
Commissioner Constantine?
Thank you. Also, just wanted to congratulate everybody involved. It's the emails of concern that I've received seem to be coming from another county. Is that what you're finding out too?
So I'm relatively a harsh critic on the system, to be honest with you, and unfortunately, I probably need more hobbies. I get sucked down the rabbit hole, a lot of the social media stuff, and I go quite down the rabbit hole of who the folks are and things like this, and I too am seeing there's a number of external folks that are opining about things for whatever reason that are not users or not county residents. I would say this, I like to hear the complaints. If we've got a driving complaint, if someone's had trouble, we're not perfect, but I'd rather you contact me and tell me what the problem is. And I say me, collectively me, the entire team, we will troubleshoot it. Folks have hit us up about, hey, there's a driver issue. We will head down that rabbit hole full on. If you've had a service issue, we will hit it full on. We have some secret shoppers on the system. We're looking to enhance that program a little better. Some of them have gone well, some of them haven't, but I want to know about problems. I can't make it better without knowing about it, but unfortunately, I think there are some folks that are not championing the cause as much as I would like them to.
And Christian, I bring that up because, number one, there have been very few, and number two, I can't identify anybody that I know that has called me or sent me anything. the lack of service or concerned about the loss of links. I think we hit the sweet spot where we keep the main arterials, and at the same time, use this, which can be more used, more available for everyone. I know that you have, and you've identified the concern about the time. Almost the answer to that is tell people, call 40 minutes in advance instead of 30 minutes. But I know that you've added the 7. You're looking at different things. I've also noticed that in the beginning it was top-heavy as far as mostly from the Sanford and the North Lake Mary area, but it's starting to come down a little bit and being used more and more by in the southern part of the county, which is great. And the thing that I think I'm excited about the most is the use by the elderly, as Commissioner Zimbar said, almost 32%. They're battling with a 21 to 35 for who has the most percentage. But I think that's great. And obviously a 4.8, which is what we're getting right now, is fantastic. I could say something, that people just give it some time about the wait time, but I know you've already addressed that, and it's still, I mean, if you know it's going to be 40 minutes, it's going to be 40 minutes, or 35 minutes, it's going to be 35 minutes. You call it, that much time in advance for the church or whatever you're going to go to.
If it's okay, just to respond to a couple of things on that. One thing I just want to bring it out, and it's mostly for the audience, is, looking at this, one of the system development was to come up with a trip planner tool. When we started this, we didn't know how long it was going to take. We didn't know what the ridership is. But as much about the wait time, it's really about calibrating expectation. If you know how long something takes, you just plan accordingly to do it. And so we've launched that app, so that portion of the app to go there. And additionally, another change before booking, it actually comes up and gives you an estimated wait before you plan that. So that's there. And then another thing is, I hope people don't move the goalpost on us. I mean, as I said, I obviously don't have much of a life and went down the rabbit hole. I also decided to MapQuest how long it would take me to get to a Lynx stop myself, just to calibrate. We're talking trips to trips. And I live relatively close to a Lynx route, and for me to walk to the stop, it would take 16 minutes due to our good friends at Google. And then there's, our trip length is 18 minutes. That's what it is system-wide to go through it. That's how long the average person spends in a vehicle. You get on a bus, you've got a longer trip, it's stopping at other places, and then you get off and you have to walk again. You may have another 16 minutes. So I just hope people aren't moving the goalpost and saying, okay, well, I can get my Uber in 7 minutes and this is taken, or whatever the number is, and I'm making that up, or I'm not saying all Ubers are 7 minutes, but I hope people look at this in totality of what the trip length is compared to other public transportation when putting it together. They have our commitment to strive to move forward. We're going to continue to roll out tools to help that planning, but these are things we're making in regard to that time, and hope people understand that.
And Madam Chair, the last thing I just want to say, the proof is in the pudding. It continues to rise as far as ridership and passengers. We almost broke the 20,000 last month. We're in line to break the 20,000 this month, and I just, obviously, I think it's just going to continue to go more and more. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Delory?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And to say thank you is an understatement, because there's a lot of people to thank. I know that Kristen's standing in front of us, so he'll be getting most of the accolades right now, but there's a lot of people, as he said, but it was with his leadership that actually helped get this across the finish line. Doing something of this size within 12 months is no easy task, and so that needs to be front and center, obviously. The issues that I've heard were not that great, and every time I've brought them to staff's attention, they've always been solved. So I wanted to thank not just Christian, but the entire staff for doing that. And I think what Christian's just talking about with the total trip time, the walking to the bus station, getting the bus, walking from the bus station to your destination, is really the selling point, because it is the total time. So I think that's appropriate. And I look forward to seeing where this evolves to, because it's going to keep on evolving, as staff is telling us. And, breaking the 20,000 people per month is just the beginning. I think it's going to go a lot further than that, obviously. And I've heard nothing but compliments. So there's a lot to be said about this, and compliment everyone that's been involved in it. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Lockhart, let's bring it home. We started with you, we'll end with you.
Well, we'll see. I was having a conversation with Martin Comas from the Orlando Sentinel the other day, and he said, I'm asking you these questions because you seem like you have been, one of the biggest champions of this and brought this to the forefront. And I said, well, Martin, here's the deal. If people hate it and it fails, it was my idea. If it's fantastic, we all worked really hard together on it. And I'm okay with that because the truth of the matter is, it does take a team of people to step out and give our staff the cover to make some really risky decisions. I think that when we looked at this initially, it was the PowerPoint slide that started me on a spiral from links that had the projected cost out 5 years, that in 2030, their costs were their own projected costs were going to be unsustainable for this county to continue to participate. And I think that's what started all of us down the path of, okay, we can't continue to do the same thing over and over again. We had no choice but to make a different choice, and I'm so thrilled that we're in this place in as quick a time as we are. One of the things that I also admitted is that we probably did too good a job of advertising Scout as a transportation solution to this entire county, except for the rural area. Because the real root of why we went down this path was to replace the fixed route links service that was going away, not to become a competition for Uber or Lyft. And as many times as we said that from this dais, it was still very hard to communicate to people, well, what's Scout? What microtransit? What's microtransit? So what do? The first thing you do is you say, well, it's similar to an Uber or a Lyft. I can't tell you how many times I said that in front of a TV camera. And now I think when someone asks, how is Scout going? Is it a success? My answer is, well, it depends on your frame of reference. If you are someone who rode the Lynx bus and had to walk in the rain or the 90-degree heat and humidity for 20 minutes to get to your bus stop, and then had to sit on the bus for 40 minutes, and then had to walk another 15 or 20 minutes, everyone that's in that boat that I have spoken with that switched over to Scout thinks it's fabulous. It's life-changing, and I can tell you story after story, mostly of moms who are traveling with young children who either need to get their laundry done, they're going to a laundromat, or their child was able to get to school on the bus, but they weren't able to then go to school to have the parent-teacher conference because they didn't have transportation from their house to the school, and they can do that now with Scout. So I wish that the media was able to find those stories to be able to share. If you're someone who has been a consistent user of Uber or Lyft and you're familiar with that service, you may be disenchanted with Scout because it is not intended to replace Uber or Lyft. This is public transportation, and it's providing a service for people who are transportation challenged, who need public transportation. And so while I hear loud and clear, and I unfortunately go down the rabbit trail on social media as well, and sometimes people send me screenshots. Thank you. I still believe that what we have pivoted to is not only the most economically responsible thing to do for the taxpayers of Seminole County, but it is also the most compassionate form of transportation for people who need it the most. We are telling you we will come and pick you up and we will take you to where you need to go. And most likely that cost for you is going to be incredibly affordable because of the discounts. And that's the other thing I would ask our friends in the media. When you say our fares start at $4, that is the fare, the base fare, but the discounts on top of that $4 make most people's rides $1.50 or $2. So please help us get the word out that this is an incredibly affordable program for people who need those discounts. They exist. A couple of different things I'm going to ask you to answer for the good of the order. If someone is disabled, can they ride Scout?
Depends on the level of disability. So disability is a big ruler. If you are ambulatory or have a conventional wheelchair, yes, you can ride Scout. If you're in a wheelchair with supporting systems, headrests, trachs, things of that nature, and no, Scout is not for you. That is an Access Links paratransit mode of transportation.
And do we still offer that?
Yes, absolutely. That's offered through Links. We have not discontinued that. That's 100% there. We have not touched it. Now, if you are ambulatory, Scout may be a much more convenient way for you to travel and cheaper way for you to travel. So it just depends on your level of disability.
Okay. Do we, if you are a bike rider, do we allow bikes?
We do allow bikes. The fleet is outfitted. The Volkswagen fleet is all outfitted with bike racks. In fact, when you look at them in the back, there's kind of these little rabbit ear things that look there. So that they, in the trunk, they have a bike rack that attaches to that. They can actually hold an e-bike. It's fairly substantial bike rack. All that being said, we have not had one bike ride request to transport a bike since the full service started. So since we've been tracking, let me back up. Since we started tracking that data, which was very early on, because we weren't seeing it, we said, can you make this a request on the app? So if you were before that period and you rode a bike and you had a bike on there, my apologies, but almost the entire service, it's zero.
Interesting. Sunrail times, the syncing up of being able to call for a ride. If you're coming in on a Sunrail train from Volusia or Orange County, and I know I'm going to get off at the Lake Mary stop at 10:04, how do I coordinate that arrival?
So it used to be, and this is one of the changes that were made, it used to be that when you got to the stop, you would book, and the pin would, would find you, your phone would say you're here. We have to try to stop shenanigans of people scheduling rides, putting around. They have that, so it's where you're located, and you can move it a little bit, but you have to be within the service zone to do that. You had to be within so many feet of the location. It was posing a problem for Sunrail riders, so we've since released that restriction to Sunrail. So if you're booking, or if you're booking a ride for pickup or drop off, you can just place the pin at a Sunrail station and at any one, and it will get there. So if you're in Volusia County and hey, my train is coming to wherever, you can put that in there and then be able to launch it. The one thing I'll say, I'm always a devil's in the details guy. There could be a chance that you may have to be in Seminole County. I'll follow up with you on that to see if the overall app, you have to be in that global space. But I don't believe that to be the case, but I will follow up 100% to be sure. But you can still be on the train and drop it at the station, and that will start your request to be picked up.
Okay.
And to go on to add to that, we looked at the amount of riders at each station to say, do we need to have a vehicle there to do it? And it didn't really justify having a bus there. It made more sense for people to say, hey, let me pre-schedule it with a pin.
Having been slightly obsessed with Lynx buses and Sunrail the last year or so, I've spent time sitting. I also need hobbies, apparently. Sitting in the parking lots at various Sunrail stations to see when the Lynx bus pulls up, how many people are getting off and how many people are getting on. Because the numbers, you can't really tell from the numbers that we received from Lynx who was actually moving where, when. So I saw very, very few people actually. The bus would pull up, it would sit there for whatever time it needed to sit there. No one would get off, no one would get on, and the bus would continue on its way. And so, now that was not every time, of course, sometimes people got on and off, but not to the degree that made me think that was something. But we have at least identified the problem, that problem of being able to order ahead of time, and we believe we've mostly solved that.
That's correct, and we'll continue monitoring, and if we need to make other changes, we'll certainly make other changes.
Okay. Hold on. What other challenges, because you are a critic of the system, and I appreciate that. It is very hard to be a critic of your own, something that you are so intimately involved in. What other things do you see that we don't see, because you do have a peek behind the curtain, that you see as challenges for us?
So a couple things. Yesterday, I'll focus on yesterday. I mean, there's some other challenges. I think I'm going to be back here after we've kind of had some time in March to really give a full recap of what the full transition looked. I'm trying to take a measured response to things because yesterday was kind of the first business day as a result. So I'm trying to, like I said, take a measured response just to see. But I think there'll be some changes. Yesterday, there were some unique things that happened. We had 204 requests and 124 completed trips from people that just created their profile that very day. So we just went through all that outreach that we did, which is a crazy amount of outreach in a relatively short amount of time, and I would say a crazy amount of outreach in a short amount of time, and yet people still chose to wait to the last minute to do things. So you're getting into a system that you're not familiar with, and you're trying to learn it. I mean, it's not difficult to learn it, but there's, like anything, the first time you go somewhere you're not as familiar with it, you go to the second time, you have a little bit better what to expect. So that was a challenge yesterday. Worse was we had, by the time the end of the day, I asked poor Jason from Freebie, I talk to him all the time, I'm sure his wife would prefer I go away. I asked him at the end of the day, I said, after business closes, all the data settles, send me a recap. Some of the problems we were seeing through the day, and we talked about them, but I wanted to get a full recap. So one of the biggest ones we saw yesterday was 30 users were responsible for 231 cancellations yesterday. So, and I'll give you an example. This started to come on our radar. We talked about it. I was bothering poor Jason when he was flying yesterday. There was a number of texts and email exchanges going back. Whatever airline he was flying apparently had very good Wi-Fi. But we then had an impromptu meeting at lunch to go through it, and the numbers were not as bad as that. We had 18 users with 150 cancellations at lunchtime. So I said, run the top two for me and let's look. So the top one was a customer that is a normal customer of ours. He made 16 requests in 45 minutes. Booked it, canceled, booked it, canceled. I believe this individual thinks it's, and sorry for the poor analogy, thinks it's some kind of transit Tetris where, hey, I'm waiting for the right piece to fall and then I'm going to move it to me and hopefully I'll get a 5-minute ride. It doesn't work like that. He's really going to the back of the queue every time he does this. It's also screwing up other riders. What it's doing is their routes have to be recalibrated. You know, their times on their phone look like we have no idea what's going on because, hold on, you are 3 behind, 3, Bob's your driver. Well, hold on, now Tim's your driver and you're 5 because Tim's route may now be quicker and his people are closer to you. So that caused a problem. There was the second highest user was the second highest canceller was a person that doesn't really ride with us. They've taken 2 rides in the entire time since October, and they didn't book. So there was a bunch of cancellations from this person. I think at noon they had done 14, and they had not booked. Of all those 18 riders at lunch, and I have the detail on those ones because we went down the rabbit hole, only 4 of them actually made completed rides. So Jason and I, again, his wife, I'm sure was loving to hear from me before the 8 o'clock hours. I'm calling his house. We talked in lengths this morning about trying to make some app changes to try to, quite frankly, block people if they get to a point where they're frozen out of the app, and if they need to make a ride, they can call the call center. But that type of thing is having a massive impact on times. It's having a massive impact on service delivery to other folks. I don't know why they're doing it. Like I said, some people may think, hey, I've got the ability to game the system if I just keep, looking for, they think they're like the 10th caller of the radio for some competition. I don't know, but that's it. But, another thing we learned yesterday on a more positive note is, we have the ability to launch surveys and things like that out at a moment's notice. I can throw things out. So we decided, hey, let's throw a survey out. G actually spearheaded this and thought it would be great to launch a survey on the first business day, and we got some really good data from that. So here's some things. Of the customers yesterday, 16% of them previously relied on links. So only 16%. 37% were Uber, Lyft riders. Now, that doesn't mean that they're affluent. They may have lived in a transit desert and they had no other choice, and there we go. The next number is, and I won't go through all of them, I can if you have further questions, but the next one that I think is the most telling one, and I think truthfully this is a feather in all y'all's cap, is 32% of the people would not have been able to make the trip without Scout. They're that much in a desert, they obviously couldn't have afforded the Uber or Lyft option, and they didn't do it. So, you know, these numbers, you know, as much as, you know, it's frustrating on people with the ties and things like that, the service is providing things, and, you know, we're learning this. I mean, this is a massive, you know, a massive change for some folks' quality of life, and quite frankly, that speaks volume to the decision, and it's, you know, it's well done work.
The other piece that I know you're still working on, and so I'm wearing two hats in this conversation, admittedly, is our Seminole State students. Previously, both UCF and Seminole State gave money to Lynx to provide, quote, free rides for their students. And I've had a couple of conversations with some students who I had to, you know, help make the connection point that that ride was in fact not free. Someone was paying for that ride, it just wasn't you. And so the fact that some students are now having to pay $1.50 or $2 for a ride is troublesome for some of them. Although I haven't found one that lives in Seminole County yet. I'd love to hear, genuinely, would love to hear from a Seminole County resident who attends Seminole State or UCF and find out if they've tried to utilize the system yet and what their circumstances are. It will be up to Seminole State to determine, because we already offer the student discount. Seminole County, we as a board have already identified students are important, elderly are important, low income, not that everybody else isn't important, but in terms of offering a discount, let me rephrase that. We want to provide accommodations for students, elderly, and disabled and low income, right? Okay. And Sunrail riders. So we're already offering a student discount to students. If any of our other academic institutions wish to provide additional discounts for their students or faculty, it will be incumbent upon them, once we really dig into the data and see how many of their students are actually riding, or faculty or staff, to determine to what level they would like to further subsidize those rides. Is that a fair statement?
That is a completely fair statement. So we've got there's a couple of folks we're in conversation of. One of them is Seminole State. There's another educational institution we have. We have a couple of ways of doing it. There's really a number of ways to do this. You were very eloquent early on saying, hey, we can geofence, we can do all these things, and that allows us to do it. So we have things where, I mean, they can, if they want to chip in and pay a portion of it, they could. We could do that. If they want to pay the whole thing, they could. We could make them a free zone. There's a number of things to the degree that anyone, even outside of educational institutions, that they wanted to assist, that we could in fact do this. But to your point, you know, it is being subsidized by the board. It's not a free ride. You know, they're even at the discount, or even truthfully the full fare, it doesn't cover the price. So, you know, we're very much open to those conversations. We can help design it in a number of ways if there's a willingness.
I think it's critical to continue to remind people that we understand that this is a taxpayer-provided benefit to the community, and it is the taxpayers of Seminole County, and via some grants through state and federal government, that we're able to provide this service. But the people who ride it need to have some skin in the game to varying degrees to be able to get around town. And I know there are other places around the country and around the state who like to offer free transportation, or at least talk about offering free transportation for their citizens. Seminole County, I don't believe, is one of them. It is not fair to the taxpayers of this community to offer completely free transportation. So that I just thought I needed to say that, because there's been a lot of conversation about that in my space. So thank you. That's all I have.
Good. Commissioner Constantine, you had one more.
Just one last thing, since we went through a litany of concerns, all of which I think are doable to work out, and I'm very pleased with the progress, obviously. But at the last National Association of Counties meeting, I was talking to the editor of the newspaper and magazine that goes out to all the counties in the state, or the nation, excuse me, and he, Charlie Van, was very interested in the innovation that we have put together here at Seminole County, specifically this and Seminole Forever, both of which are unique throughout the state of Florida and the United States. So in a upcoming article, they're going to separate them, but in the upcoming article, they're going to do one on Scout. And I mentioned, obviously, to get a hold of Christian, and I mentioned, Commissioner, that also if, to get a hold of you. So, I think that they want to highlight different innovative programs throughout the United States, and it's kind of exciting that they saw that two that we're doing are so innovative and something that they want to write about.
Commissioner Zimbauer?
I just wanted to, we have talked about quite a bit. The one thing that I was remiss in bringing up was, the one thing we've not discussed in this, and I knew when we started down this path, this was going to be a benefit to some of our elderly that either rely upon neighbors, family, or somebody at the church, or whatever, to get them places. I think this is going to grow. In that narrative, higher than 32%. And most of these folks have the wherewithal to pay the $4, $3, whatever it is. But there's a mental health aspect of this as well. If these people are not locked down in their homes with nowhere to go. I mean, if you knew how many of our retired or older folks have nobody they can rely upon, or have to wait for somebody else's schedule to rely upon, who have to sit and watch TV all day with their dog and cat, have no way to get out. Now they have the ability to get out of the house at their desire and get back at a reasonable time in a safe fashion without walking to a bus stop. But I think these numbers clearly prove out we didn't have much Lynx ridership to begin with, is what it tells me. I've been asking for the numbers for Lynx since the day I got here, and they just don't jive. And I think we're going to see people that use Uber are going to use Uber, excuse me, because they want to go direct there quick. They have the wherewithal to do that. But, the other aspect, people just want to share a ride, get there, get outside the house. I think we're going to be faced with this growing to the point where we're going to have to make additional decisions to bring more vehicles on board, which is fine, as long as it's helping pay for itself. We'll have that discussion. So, good stuff.
Thank you, and I'll round it out with a couple of short comments. Number one, we, I think, did a good job in picking a good partner. We didn't give a shout out. We gave a shout out to everybody, but a shout out to Freebie and the team that takes Christian's calls at 8 o'clock at night and their spouses. They have been a very good partner. My comment with regard to the cancelers, what I would call frequent flyers, you can hide behind anonymity. There's nothing to say that we can't do an outbound phone call to those frequent cancelers to point out that we know who you are, which may end it.
So yesterday we tried to get a hold of the top frequent flyer. We have not got a call back. Jason this morning has have his team reach out to him again to try, but we're going to try, and that's the part we're at now. We're doing a deep dive on not only what happened yesterday across history. We're going to try some education, but then we're going to put a cattle chute to make sure people can't do this too much. Education is still most important, and having the contact with them is part of the plan with that.
Well, and that may be an ongoing thing to do, just because of the world we live in today. I would love to see, and I think this is where Guy probably was going with the survey, et cetera, but there's a positive economic impact to this for the folks that were getting out of the house that were locked in their house before, and that would be wonderful to report. The comment about moving the goalpost, I think, I'm sure you didn't mean this, but I think that's us. We can't move the goalpost.
No.
I know
wasn't
you
meaning it
didn't.
for y'all. No, absolutely
You
not.
didn't mean that, but
Yeah.
but I think we need to own that we can't move the goalpost as time goes on and forget the roots of this, because I do think the savings are significant. It's important to maintain the savings, and this thing is growing. There's a significant number of routes coming in and out of Heathrow. So that's me chasing buses around on that side of town, VW buses. And so we really need to think about how we do this so that we don't end up with a big slice. We need to be monitoring and pairing as we go. And then the last comment that I'll throw out there is that I can't help but to think about how proud Commissioner Henley would have been of you and all of us for actually taking a step, because he used to complain about that escalating cost and the unsustainability of it 20 years ago.
Yep.
And so I just hearken back to former commissioners that led this path as well. Christian, thank you so much.
Madam Chair,
Darren?
just one comment. Thank you, and I won't belabor the point, because this has been a successful program, and it happened organically, as you know, how we started looking at the balloon cost, as Commissioner Lockhart was saying, with our links budget, when Commissioner Zimbauer sat on there. You all have heard that. And this is a taxpayer-funded program, public transit program. I'm glad this is not a private Uber.
Right.
This is successful. We do have some hiccups. I can't commend our team enough for, Christian, him and I have had I wouldn't say we butted heads, but we have butted heads, because some of the projects that he was working on, I have to do now, because he's focusing on this so much. But
we're all in trouble.
We've got that cleared up. But one thing to realize, when we looked at this, our budget for links, if we did not make this change, was, this year it was $17 million. This program has saved us $10 million. We cut the links budget by $10 million. Now, when we add our freebie contract with the additional vehicles, we're paying $6 million. So we are saving with the make sure Mr. Jexam got these numbers right. We talked about this yesterday with the fare box. We are saving approximately $5.5 million for taxpayer dollars, providing a better service for our residents here in Seminole County. So I don't want that to go without saying.
And it's more friendly to the environment, because we don't have residents stuck in traffic behind Lynx buses on all these roads at an idle, waiting for the bus to get loaded and unloaded and all that. So there's a benefit there as well.
Yeah.
And we're preserving First Street in Sanford, which I never understood why we let a bus drive down a brick street. Wouldn't happen on Park Ave.
Right.
Christian, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Fantastic.
Thank you all. All right, we're going to move on to the website redesign project update. Commissioners, this is one that I asked to be on the agenda because there was so much emphasis when I first got here around the website and this and that and the other. We made a significant investment in it and really never rolled it out. I don't think it got the red carpet that it deserves, so I've asked Chris to do this, and Darren agreed.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Patton, Communications Director for the record. I'm joined today by Tim Williams, our web manager. We're going to go through a couple live views of the website as I move through the presentation. Starting off our agenda, purpose, background, progress, next steps. Starting off with the purpose, provide an update on the county website redesign, demonstrate improvements in performance, accessibility, and citizen-facing services. And on to the background. As you might know, last year we did this project with the new website. It's still one of our most heavily used communication services. We average about 1/3 people a month that view our website. Unfortunately, the previous platform was built on a proprietary CMS content management system. For layman's terms, that's the software backend that allows us to update the website. Updates were slow, costly, and difficult to scale with the old website. And also, mobile performance lagged behind user behavior. In addition, emergency updates required manual workarounds and page refreshes. On October 22nd, 2024, the board decided to award a contract to SGS Technologies for the county's website redesign. We kicked off that project that year and continued through last year and completed it in June 15th of last year. Why the action was required is that the content management system that we were currently working on no longer supported our needs. Maintenance costs increased without performance gains. Security, accessibility, and scalability risks were growing. And the modern CMS was necessary to support service delivery, emergencies, and growth. So on to the progress that we've made. We have a new content management system called Sitefinity. What's nice about this system is that we own the license to it. The county owns the software license, so if our vendor for absence leave or we wanted to choose a different vendor, we don't have to go and get a new software. SiteFini is also widely used by a lot of state agencies. FDOT, FHP also use this system, so we have partners in knowing how to use this system. It enhances our security, stability, and long-term support for the county's digital services as well. One of the top things is emergency management. When we have emergencies, our old website, the user had to refresh it to get new information. When you're in a fast-moving emergency and we're putting new information out, for instance, evacuations or boil water notices, having the user dependent on refreshing the screen can be troublesome. So our new website has what's called site sync. So every 2 seconds, we can push information and the page is automatically updated for the user. Kind of eliminates that manual refresh, but also gets information to the people quicker. Also important is mobile friendliness. Our old website didn't really work well on mobile devices. Why that's important? Because 2/3 of our traffic is from mobile devices. The new site was designed mobile first, meaning as Tim and I and Office of Information Technology were looking at new pages, we were looking at mobile pages first and making sure they worked appropriately before we moved on to the desktop. This improved readability, navigation, and accessibility for the end user. Okay, we're going to go on and switch over to the new website, but I wanted to show you our accessibility tool. And what this allows us to do is to meet the federal requirements of ADA accessibility standards. So over in the right-hand corner, there's a little guy. And when you hit that, it opens a lot of tools for increasing the contrast of the site, page text. All these things help users that have assistive technologies like page readers. It also has built-in language tools that allows people to change the language of the website. Next on is our custom forms. Before, our forms on our website were all custom, made it very hard to maintain and to manage those. Now we have a widget where they're all basically the same. We're able to maintain them and they look a lot nicer too. Moving on to our page templates. Before, our website was very unique. Every page kind of had a different look and feel. It can make it difficult for the user when they don't know where to find things. So you see our homepage, it's got a nice template to it. Most important, our departments all have the same recognizable template. And so when you go to a department page, you see the contact information on the right-hand side. It's all consistent. It's there for the user, and as you flip through them, you see they all have this, they're all unique in some way, but they all have that same look and feel. Another important upgrade we made was API integrations. These are third-party applications and how they interact with our website. For instance, YouTube, some of our calendars and scheduling tools are now integrated into the website. And previously, you sometimes had to click and leave the website to access those features. Another important part of the website that we're really happy about is our front page. It has a lot of news and stories and events. It makes it feel more dynamic. And so the Office Communications takes the content we develop for the newsletter and our social media, and we place it on the website every month. So there's new information and it doesn't feel like a static. In addition, the calendar is really nice. It has a lot of different events on it, and those things are pieced up and put onto the department pages as well. Another important feature of our website is the improved indexing. This helps with search functions. So when you search on the website, before you would just get a whole bucket of different things. Now we have it split up into different categories. So when you make a search, you can see different pages, news, events, or even documents that relate to that search that you entered. It helps find the user what they need quicker and eliminates frustration. Finally, I want to talk about how the website's maintained. Before, we had a decentralized system of about 150 users across the county. That was part of the challenges with security. And now we have a team of 2 people here. Lee Hicks is behind me, our specialist, and Tim Williams, our web manager. And all those requests from the departments come into the Office Communications are managed. And with the help of Office of Information Technology, those are then put onto the new website. Going on to next steps, we continue to work on improvements of the website, even though the project is done. We are coming out with a new media and partner toolkit template this week for our Scout program, so we can share some of those great videos and graphics we shared with our partners. In addition, we're working on a new boil water advisory system with our utilities department. And future enhancements include asset management, digital integration with the Citizen Engagement Center, and API integration with Alert Seminole. And I'm available for any questions you might have.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And I'm going to give a shout out to Tricia, who this project started with. And this probably gave you a little bit of PTSD with remembering the 150 users and us all thinking it was easy to get the pages to match. I do remember those discussions. They were pretty terrible.
It was easy. All we had to do is write a check.
Yeah. Well, write a check and a year's worth of progress.
Right.
Commissioners, any comments?
I'll just say thank you very much to the entire team for pulling this together. I've been involved in one way, shape, or form with the county's website since 2004. I think I was one of those employees at one point in time that was responsible for maintaining our Board of County Commissioners webpage, and it was a nightmare. So this is fantastic, and it's because we are able to invest in having dedicated folks who can own this responsibility. That was not something that previous boards were willing to give the county manager the ability to do. So thank you for taking it on and for owning it and getting it to where we need it to be. So appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Zimbauer?
It is now user-friendly to the public, which was always the challenge in navigating through it and getting to where you think you want to be or where you wanted to be. What I would like to voice, maybe a consideration, is a citizen reporting portal that could be managed by AI. Potholes, sidewalks broken, whatever it might be, the citizen can just go in, put it in, it'll automatically route to the department. They can call the resident and say, take some pictures, whatever, or we'll send somebody out there to check it. It's being utilized in other jurisdictions around the country to great success. Instead of waiting for the letter to come from the bodily injury firm that someone tripped and broke their leg on the sidewalk, a citizen has sent it in and said, hey, by the way, sidewalk fell apart out here. So just a thought. But good work. Thank you.
That reminds me of it. Do we still have the app that where citizens could report?
The Cell app that was purchased during COVID is still active, where you can do some of those things, but it's not as well advertised as it should be.
And it's a little antiquated when I tried to use it.
It is. I just wasn't sure if it was still active and if we needed to make it not be active if people aren't using it. Might be.
There's still some activity, but it is very low.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
A transitional opportunity. Any other comments? All good? I would add, we all know I can't wait for the day when I can pop into that website and see all the dashboards and the departments and how we're doing and how permits are flowing through the system and all of that. That's the dream state, as well as the citizens being able to do that. And then I'll tag on to the reporting of potholes, but it's probably bigger than that. The ability for somebody to go through the website, interact with customer service, and get a response as opposed to phone units only. I think that's becoming more mainstream. I don't want to go to AI there yet because AI is still a little frustrating in that environment, but eventually it could migrate to that. With that, thank you, Chris, for the presentation. Thank you for indulging the request. And the next item on our agenda for this morning is the Basin Study work session, Lake Monroe, and the Big Little Econ. Joe? John?
Thank you, Chairman Herr and fellow commissioners. We're here for our second basin study update to the Board of County Commissioners today. This is of the 16 basins in the county. We've studied 13 of them. This is the second group. We'll come back one more time at the end of the month to put a bow on the last one as well. And I will do very similarly as we did the last time. I'll turn it over to Joe. He will walk us through all the details, and then we'll be here and available for any questions of staff or our consulting teams.
All right, thank you, Director Slott. Thank you, Madam Chairman, fellow commissioners. My name is Joseph LaFaso. I am the Chief Design Engineer, Seminole County Public Works. Today we're here to present an update on the Lake Monroe, Lockhart-Smith Canal, and Big and Little Econ-Lakahatchee drainage basin studies. Today's agenda will be basin study overview, basin study timeline, then a deeper discussion into the Lake Monroe, Lockhart-Smith Canal basin study, followed by a discussion into Big and Little Econ drainage basin studies, our next steps and requested action. As we said, there are 16 drainage basins in Seminole County. We study these all the time because these are important facets of our drainage program, our stormwater management program. These basins are composed of smaller areas, such as the subbasins. Some of these subbasins are closed subbasins, which means they don't have a natural discharge point. So again, that's another important reason, is to discover where those are located. And so all of that is, again, part of our overall public works program. Why we study these things, again, the basin studies are used to generate project concepts, which then migrate into the stormwater master plan, which then is used to create our 5-year work program through the prioritized project list, and then those projects are what we end up designing and constructing in order to improve stormwater infrastructure in the county. Our indicators that we use to help us study these issues are what they call level of service. And also we discover those levels of services based on different storm events that we run. So 25 years, 10-year storm, 50-year storm, et cetera, just to see how the infrastructure performs under these different design scenarios. Once we have that, then we're able to use this rubric in order to grade each of the storm improvement concepts to give us that order priority. And so going into the basin studies, again, you can see here this map. We have 13 of 16 studied. Today, we are looking at the 2 basins in green. And we began this process in 2019, so now we're happy to bring it to a final conclusion. Our timeline so far between 2019 and 2025, we've been updating the basin studies. Same time, we held public meetings and incorporated public comment. And now we are here today, January 13, 2026, to discuss and ask for acceptance into service the Lake Monroe and Big and Little Econ-Lakahatchee basin studies. To begin with the Lake Monroe Lockhart-Smith Canal basin study, this basin consists of 24.9 square miles. It includes the cities of Sanford and Lake Mary. There are a total of 15 project concepts. There are 1,036 subbasins which compose this basin, 136 of which are closed. The timeline for this specific basin study began in 2021. We had a first public meeting that year, and we began all the database and collection. In 2022, we had a second public meeting, as well as continued to develop the basin model. In 2023, we had the first basin Board of County Commissioner meeting, and then we had a third public meeting, and we did our LOS alternative analysis, as well as submit a draft basin study and CIP report for review by staff. In 2025, all of that was then bundled into our final draft report, and now here at the very beginning of 2026, we're here to accept into service at this BCC meeting. Going into the basin more in depth in and of itself, this particular basin study was performed by our consultants at Atkins Realis. The project overview for this, just to give a general review of the scope, we're here to update the 2001 watershed model. This will help us create a flood map and planning models going forward into the future. We held public meetings regarding this in order to help us identify and assess those flooding problems that were present in this basin. That helped us then develop the conceptual improvement projects to reduce flooding and improve water quality. And the deliverable of the study was the basin study report itself, as well as the recommended conceptual improvement projects. All right. Check the clicker.
1 second.
Thank you. Got it. Okay. So moving on to the results of the basin study, we're going to begin as we did with the previous rendition. The FEMA effective 100-year map, this is the current map that's in effect. It is 6.9 square miles of floodplain. It is the one that's currently used for flood insurance purposes. The map dates back to 2007, but it's based on 2001 data. And again, because of that, many of the flood-prone areas are not currently mapped in this map. However, we will now wait for the surprise.
So we have paper copies up here, but that doesn't help those watching.
Does the
I've got
overhead work?
electronic copies of
Yeah.
mine.
Does the overhead work?
I do as well.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yep.
I
we have.
have one.
Or you can, it's online. If you go to the online agenda, you can bring it right up. There you go.
The clicker will work? Okay, so let me know when you're ready.
608.
Okay, got it. So let's see. Perfect. All right, so back to where we left off. Current flood map, projected 100-year flood inundation map. So we see an increase to 8.7 square miles. This is mapped using our new model with the latest information. And as we can see, that what that means is that the map floodplain area we project increase by 26%. At the bottom left, we have the table detailing that breakdown by total parcels, total buildings, and total area. So that's our projected increase for the floodplain in this basin. Moving on, we have our proposed flood improvement projects. Here, the map ID is the order in which the project, the area, really, the problem area that project is going to address was identified. Then in the middle is the name of the project area. And then on the right in the box, that is the priority ranking of the projects. So that is the order in which we would perform them if we were just going to do this basin by itself. It's important to note, as part of the Stormwater Master Plan, all of the basin study projects will be amalgamated and then re-ranked on a county-wide basis using that same grading rubric. So this is just for the sake of the individual basin as to what its order of priority would be. And then when we do the Stormwater Master Plan, a re-ranking will occur based on the entire county. It's also important, of those 15 projects, the ones denoted by the asterisk, those 4 projects also have the water quality benefit. And these maps here, again, we had a zoomed out map. So just to give a little bit more detail to the displacement of all the projects within the basin, we divided it into 2 segments, west and east of I-4. So this one is just showing a zoomed in image of the western section of the Monroe Basin. The projects with the red star emblem are those with the water quality attributes. And then just switching to the east side again, just to show a more clear image of where these are all located in the county. And then here again, because some of them were, again, really clustered together, we wanted to make sure we had that locked in as a clear image rather than just leaving it as a blown out, wider scale map. So that concludes the Lake Monroe Lockhart-Smith Canal Basin. And now we have the big Econ-Lahatchie and little Econ-Lahatchie basin study. They are the areas in green here. The little Econ-Lahatchie has 10.4 square miles in Seminole County. Big Econ-Lahatchie has 42.4 square miles in Seminole County. And we note that because both basins do have part of their overall area that extends south into Orange County. So we're just classifying that as we've covered the Seminole County portions of those basins within the project scope. They include the cities of Castleberry and Oviedo. There are 16 project concepts, 3,035 subbasins within the 2 basins, and there are 25 closed subbasins. Our project timeline for these: in 2021, we began the basin study. In 2022, data collection was complete and the first public meeting was held. In 2023, a second public meeting was held and model development was complete. 2024, the stormwater model development and LOS analysis was added, and the floodplain mapping was also performed. In 2025, that was all amalgamated into the final draft basin study report. And now here at the beginning of 2026, we come to ask for acceptance into service at this BCC meeting. This one is prepared by our consultant staffs at Ardura in association with HAF for the big Econ-Lahatchie and little Econ-Lahatchie drainage basin studies. The scope of work was similar: develop a hydrologic and hydraulic model, do flood inundation mapping, flooding assessment, deficiency identification, preparing a concept project, scoring the concept projects, and then evaluating the conceptual improvements to serve as to alleviate flooding and to improve water quality.
The results of the basin, again, presented in that same three-step format. So our first step is taking a look at the current FEMA effective 100-year flood map. There is 15.9 square mile of floodplain between the two basin segments. This map was dated 2007, but it's based on a combination of 1985, 1996, and 2001 data. So again, we feel that a lot of those flood-prone areas are not currently mapped, and that's indicated by our current modeling, which now increases the area to 23.3 square miles of floodplain. This is again using the latest data available to us, and this is going to lead to an increase in these basins of 47% of that flood inundation area, the table on the lower left breaking it down between parcels, buildings, and total area. Then moving on to the proposed flood improvement projects, same format here. The concept number on the left is just the number order in which the projects were identified, the project name in the middle, and then priority ranking on the right for just these basins. The re-ranking will occur similarly when we do the amalgamated re-ranking for the Stormwater Master Plan. And similar, because these basins are so large and the projects are moved around here and there, we wanted to give everyone a better look. So we have our Big Econohatchee project area zoomed in here. The red star indicates water quality improvement benefit. And then moving on to the Little Econohatchee, this basin is special because it's actually bifurcated in two parts by the Howell Creek Basin. And again, you can see here those in red, with the red star, have the water quality benefit. The next steps for these, we will provide the models to development review for use as the latest best available information, and we will submit final approved studies to FEMA for review and their firm map updates. The next steps overall for the basin study program, again, we have today the meeting to approve into service the Lake Monroe and Big Little Econ basin studies. Coming up on the 27th, the final clutch of basin studies, which are Big and Little Ocala and Yankee Lake. We will come back to the board and ask for acceptance into service. And then once we have all those, we will finalize the county stormwater master plan. Our requested action this day is board approval for acceptance into service of the basin studies for Lake Monroe, Lockhart-Smith Canal, and Big and Little Econohatchee basins as recommended by staff. And that concludes my presentation, and I thank the board for its time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Move for approval if there's not any questions.
There's a public comment opportunity here.
No public comment, ma'am.
Thank you, and we'll skip Kate's dissertation again. I have a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Well done. Thank you for the upgrades to the maps. I sincerely appreciate it.
Long time coming.
Yes, Commissioner Delary.
Thank you. Quick question, Joe. A lot of these basins interact with cities. What's the status of the cities completing their portion of the basin studies? Because we're not really getting into the cities portion, just the unincorporated areas. And so it's just as important that the cities do theirs.
Yes, we've had good coordination in these basins in particular. Oviedo and Winter Springs both have recently indicated their readiness with their basin studies as they're on their city level. So we've been in coordination with them. We, haven't initiated any joint projects, but we know that their status, they're also, nearing the end of their basin study programs or at the end of their basin study programs for what's within their city limits.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're doing that with all 7 cities, that's all.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Very well done. Do you have anything to add, Darren?
No, ma'am.
I have one thing to add with regard to the basin studies, and that is that I'll give a shout out to Commissioner Zembauer, who's been shouting from the highest mountain to get this done since the day I arrived here. So thank you for that push and prod, and thank you for your team for getting it done. Thank you, Darren, for the leadership on that. With that, I think we rest adjourned until 1:30.